We welcome you back to the Sammy Makki Sports Report. One more segment to go, the sports wrap-up. Not necessarily about New York topics, there happen to be two here, both football. I mean, how do you like that? There was a time earlier in the season when I thought we wouldn't see a single snap. Of course, that was resolved. Now I don't have to belabor that point. It's old news. But we will start off first with baseball. This is a pretty hot topic here in New York because it's about a player that played for the Mets for 6.5 seasons, Carlos Beltran, and he's not done well, and neither is his team, the Giants, since the Mets traded him. I mean, you figure that's the luck of a player who's a former Met. Beltran hurt his wrist the other day, and he sprained his wrist, and most of us thought that it was just going to be, a day-to-day situation, but similar to how things work with Mets, he may have to go on the disabled list. And not only the fact that he hurt himself, but in the 12 games since he's been with the Giants are like 2-10. I mean, unbelievable. Beltran was so good for the Mets this season when he was still on the team. He led the National League in doubles and whatnot, but all of a sudden he changed uniforms and he's snake bit. Right now the Giants fell out of first place. I mean, if you're Beltran, what are you possibly thinking to yourself right now? You wanted to go to a contending team, so he goes to the Giants, and then the team you go to, you get hurt, and the team you're with who won the World Series last year falls out of first place. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And that's 2 straight seasons with Beltran, because remember, last season in 2010 with the Mets, when he made his debut from the knee surgery, the Mets tanked. That was that West Coast trip, coincidentally, at the Giants. So, things not going well right now for Beltran and the Giants, and the question is here, is it Carlos Beltran's fault that the Giants had slipped out of first place? And I'm going to agree with that. Now that may sound a little silly. How could it be Carlos Beltran's fault? What do you want from Beltran? He's one player, but the Giants won the World Series last year. They were having a great season here in 2011. They were rolling. They have the pitching and everything that they have, the reason why they were in first place. The Diamondbacks have always been on the Giants' tail this season, but they didn't quite catch them, and suddenly Beltran goes to the Giants, and now they're out of first place by a half game. If the Diamondbacks win on Thursday night, before they face the Mets, they'll have a full 1-game lead. So, that's why as a Mets fan, I never wanted Beltran on the team anymore, because obviously if you go all the way back to 2006 to call third strike, and then last season when he made his debut with the Mets, coming back from knee surgery, the Mets tanked that West Coast trip, they went 2-9, and now you see what he's done with the Giants. He's taken a good thing, and they traded away their top prospect, Zach Wheeler, and the Mets may have been smart after all. Now, of course, it was a wrist injury, but as I said, wrist injury or not, they weren't playing with him, so just a whole mess right now with the Carlos Beltran situation. Now we will move on to football. Of course, the New York Giants and the New York Jets begin their preseasons this weekend. The Jets Monday night in Houston. Now, the Giants have had an absolutely terrible preseason. I mean, they haven't played a game yet, and they've had a terrible preseason. I don't want to hear the excuses. Jerry Reese, I don't think he realizes that free agency has begun yet. That's how embarrassing things have been. I mean, you have to explain to me how you can possibly lose out on your top tight end and perhaps your top, or at least one of your top receivers. Kevin Boss doesn't return, and now Steve Smith has the gall to walk away and go to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, that is just showing you what the Giants are all about. And Steve Smith is a huge loss. I mean, he is a great receiver, especially on third downs, and it is just an embarrassment what's happening right now. I mean, the Giants have had to deal with the whole OCU Manura situation. Kevin Boss stunningly goes to the Oakland Raiders. Then the Giants have to deal with the fact that Nnamdi Asomugha signs with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're seeing the Eagles make all these moves. Now Steve Smith actually bolts them for the Eagles. Now, the first preseason game for the Giants will be on Saturday night at 8 o'clock at the Carolina Panthers. That game will not be televised, apparently. So, that's that situation. That is the Giants' first preseason game. So the question is, are the Giants now in trouble? I mean, I just told you everything that's happened to this team, and I believe they are. Now the Giants, as I go to their season schedule here, are going to have a relatively easy schedule the first 6 games of the season. After that, it's brutal. So the Giants are going to have to get off to a good start here. Otherwise, the whole thing is a bust, and Tom Coughlin will not come back to coach, because if they don't make the playoffs, he ain't coming back. And who knows about Jerry Reese. The Giants have an easy first 6 games. They start with the Washington Redskins. I mean, I don't care about what Rex Grossman has to say. The Redskins aren't going anywhere, so they should be able to win that game. Then they come home against the St. Louis Rams. Now, I understand that the Rams last season could have made the playoffs, albeit they had a bad record. Lost that game to the Seahawks. They were 6-10. They have Sam Bradford, but that's a Monday night game at Giants Stadium. You figure they'd win that. Then the Giants go to the Eagles. Now, of course, the Eagles are just, you know, they're like the dream team this season. Not that I'm really buying into them a whole lot, but that's like the one tough game in their first 6. But then they go to the Arizona Cardinals. Kevin Cobb, the whole thing, I'm not buying into that. They should be able to win that. Their 5th game at home against the Seahawks. You know, playoff team. I mean, what are we talking about? The worst one of all time. I'm not just saying that. They were 7-9. And then they face the atrocious Buffalo Bills, who may not win a game this season. So the first 6 games, they figure, you know, they have to go 5-1, because after that, I mean, their schedule really becomes tough. Now, after buying week 7, they do have the Dolphins, but, you know, after that, I mean, they have to go to the New England Patriots, they have to face the 49ers, they have to face the Eagles again, the Saints, the Super Bowl winning Packers, the Cowboys, the Redskins again, the Jets, the Cowboys to finish the season. So, I think they are in trouble, because I think that without Steve Smith, without Kevin Voss, you don't know about Human Yura. They have a couple of other problems. You don't know about how Brandon Jacobs and Bradshaw are going to do. They both, you know, have a propensity to fumble the ball. So I think that Jerry Reese here, you know, no pun intended, fumbled the ball here in preseason. I don't know what he was doing letting all these guys get away. So I do think that it's probably going to be a long season for the Giants. And that would be a shame, because Coughlin will only return if the Giants make the playoffs. Finally here, to wrap up the program, the Jets. Jets, Jets. They, on the other hand, are not going to have a long season. They are going to have, obviously, as long a season as everybody else, 16 games, but they are in good shape. Now, a lot of new faces. We know that Mark Sanchez is the most important player on the team, because the quarterback of every team in the NFL these days is the most important player. But other than Sanchez, who is the most important Jet this season? Is it Plaxico Burress? Is it Santonio Holmes? You could flip that the other way. Holmes is probably more important than Burress. Is it LaDainian Tomlinson? I don't think it's any of those guys. Is it, you know, a member of the defense? I think it's running back Sean Green, because I think the Jets have to let him loose this season, and the Jets said they will. Now, they did bring in some targets where Sanchez will be opening up the playbook more in the air, and the Jets said they do want to do that. They are going to move away, or at least try to, slightly from the ground pound. But I do think that Sean Green is probably going to have a monster season. Now, in my opinion, he should have 20 carries a game. I mean, that's what I think he should do. I think that's how the Jets would be effective, and that would get him to 320 carries on the season if he times that by 16. So he should have at least 300 carries this season, and I think that if the Jets could, along with passing to Santonio Holmes as primary target, and Burress in the red zone, and you know, Derek Mason on the third downs, and you have Keller as the tight end, and that kind of stuff. LaDainian Tomlinson a little bit out of the backfield, and maybe on 3rd and short. I think that Sean Green, the primary running back, has to have a monster season. I think if he can do that, stay healthy, then the Jets will be in even better shape, because they did not bring back Braylon Edwards. You never know what's going to happen with Plaxico Burress. And they also did not bring back Jericho Cotchery, who's a side note signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are loaded with receivers. I don't think you'll ever catch a pass for them this season. So, that wraps up the re-entry of the Sammy Makki Sports Report. Whenever I'm back, I'll be back. We'll see when that will be, hopefully pretty soon. And until then, take care.